Hello, Chris from Nichols Retirement Empire. You know, today around the United States, cell phones have caused a big problem, and one of the big problems is people being distracted. And all these states are passing laws or have passed laws about driving with your cell phone being used. They're very concerned. And we just, back when I was young, we didn't have cell. We weren't sitting there with our nose in a cell phone, trying to drive a car, trying to drive a truck. Let me refresh your memory about a few things from the 1970s that would distract you while you were driving. Let's see if I can think of one or two. Well, for one, in the 1970s, let's just go ahead and talk about the 8-track players. And you carried all of your 8-tracks in a case, and a lot of people would have cases of 8-tracks that were like the size of toolboxes, and it took up a considerable amount of space. If you were smart, you memorized in your case where your favorite cassettes were. So you could go, okay, row 1, tape number 6 is Leonard Skinner. And you could not even look, reach down, fill your cassette holder, find row 1, reach back to cassette number 6, pull out Leonard Skinner. Now, most people, they weren't that organized. They just had cassettes all over the place, cassettes in the floorboards, cassettes in the seats, cassettes on the dashboard. You would put in your 8-track, and it would just start playing. You couldn't push 1 and go to song number 1. So if you didn't like song number 1 and 2, and you wanted to listen to song number 3 on your Led Zeppelin 8-track, you would push fast forward and wait, and then you would push play and see where it was. And then you'd push fast forward again. You get to song number 2, you'd push play, you'd see where it is. And then you push it fast forward again, and then you'd probably go past your song, and then you'd push play, and you'd be in the middle of song number 3. And you'd have to push rewind, and you push rewind, and you go back, and then you're trying to time it right. And it was a miracle. If you pushed that button and pushed play and ended up in the right place, it was like, it really was a miracle. Now, here's the thing. And everybody that lived in the 70s and rode in the car knows the sound that your tape makes when your 8-track player eats your tape. When the tape got stuck in the machine, you could hear it go. They could be singing along, singing whatever song, it was, and all of a sudden it would go, and when it made that noise, there wasn't a person alive driving their car that didn't immediately stop everything they were doing and try to save that 8-track. You didn't get distracted by having to adjust your air conditioning because there was not any air conditioning. It gets hot down here in Georgia, and so you spent all summer with your window rolled down. It's not like today. Today you stop at a stoplight and you're in your car, the other person's in their car, everybody's windows roll up. You don't get into their business. Back then, when you stopped next to people, your window was down, their windows were down, you're right next to each other. You're 5 feet away from the guy parked next to you. You can hear everything that's going on in his car. You can smell everything that's going on. As a little kid, and you were always a passenger, generally your right arm would be sunburned and your left arm would not, from where you hung your right arm out of the window while your dad was driving down the road. And if you were a driver, your left arm would be sunburned, and where you had your arm, hung out the window while you're driving down the road. I'm just going to say, in the 1970s, people smoked cigarettes. Cigarettes. And for you young people that don't understand, a cigarette actually has fire on the end, like it's hot. There's fire. It was a tobacco wrapped up in paper with a filter that you set on fire. So, while you were driving down the road, it was pretty customary, you know, for most people to smoke a cigarette because, you know, you're driving and it's just a time to smoke. Don't worry, we already thought of all this. There was a lighter in your car, right in the dash. You just push your lighter in, it would heat up to a hot enough temperature that could sear your leg seriously enough to send you to the emergency room and give you a permanent scar. So it would light up, get hot, you take it out after you dug around in your purse for, you know, 12 or 13 minutes, found your cigarettes, got them out of the pack, because cigarettes don't just pop out of the pack. You gotta reach in the pack and get them out. So you get your cigarette out, you get it in your mouth, you'd have to hold it right up to your face. So you'd have to kind of watch that. You couldn't just totally take it, stick it up there and hope you hit the cigarette. You'd have to make sure you hit the cigarette because you didn't want that round circle scar on your face, you know, where you missed with the lighter. But anyway, you had to do that. So you had to pay a little bit of attention. Now, while you were smoking your cigarette and the fire burnt closer and closer to your face and the filter, ash would be produced at the end of the cigarette. So, and you have to hold a cigarette in your fingers. The more the smoke would get in your, because the whole time it's on fire. See, things that are on fire produce smoke. So, while you have this in your mouth, the smoke's coming out, it's getting all in your eyes. So you had to take it away from your face every once in a while. Plus, as the ash was being produced and the ash got longer and longer and longer, you could probably get the ash about that long before you had to, you know, get rid of the ash. But we thought of it already. There was an ashtray in the car. It was a little bitty ashtray. So you had to stop paying attention while you were driving down the road to make sure that your ash went in the ashtray instead of dumping it in the floor, because the ash was hot and you didn't want to set your carpet on fire in your Impala. The cigarette didn't just go off. You had to put the cigarette out. So you had to reach down, or, well, you had to reach down into the ashtray and snuff out the cigarette. Again, which is hard to do while you're trying to drive a car with one hand. But in the winter, when it was cold, or if it was raining and you had to roll your window up, they just smoked anyway. So it was just smoke. Yeah, I mean, it was just smoke everywhere. I don't know how they could see to drive. If your window's down all the time and your hair's blowing all over the place, and when a lot of women had long hair in the 70s, it's pretty popular to have long, straight hair. And so as your hair was blowing around all over the place, and it would blow in your face while you're riding down the road and get in your mouth and all kind of stuff, it was really hard to smoke a cigarette and deal with your hair. We just felt a strong need in my family, and I don't know why. And it may not be like this in your family, but we felt a strong need to eat in the car. So I can't tell you how many times I saw my dad riding down the road with a map in one hand. So you had maps, you have maps on your phone, a map in one hand and the map in the hand on a steering wheel, and a hamburger in the other hand, trying to eat his hamburger and his fries and drink his Coke, look at the map, ride down the road, drive the car, all at the same time. And it was always a hamburger or fried chicken. In the 70s in the South, we didn't have tacos or pizza. All we had was hamburgers and fried chicken. I mean, we would get out, go in the restaurant, buy the food, go out and get in the car and drive down the road and eat. And now there's more. You're thinking, how could anybody drive with all those? Well, there's more distractions, bigger distractions. Now, when you got a new car in the 70s, you would drive the car home, take the seat belts and jam them all down in the seat so that they would be out of the way. Because seat belts were just in your way. Nobody, if you got in somebody's car and dug around in their seat, pulled out the seat belt and strapped yourself in with that seat belt, they would have looked at you like you were some kind of alien. They would have been like, what are you doing? I'm putting on my seatbelt. For what? You could sit anywhere in that car you wanted to sit. So if you wanted to ride 3 or 4 people in the front seat, put everybody in the front seat. Just get right up next to the driver. I mean, you know, if you had a girlfriend, she could get right up next to you. So the right arm would pretty much be out of play for driving. You just did everything with your left arm. You smoked your cigarette with your left arm, you hung your left arm out the window, drove the car with the left arm, ate your hamburger with the left arm. You just did everything with the left arm. So the car was a playground. Just to be honest with you, this is a playground. I mean, a lot of the cars were big. If you could fit in the area where the back windshield is, you could climb up there and lay down up there. If you could fit on top of the back seat, climb up on top of lay on the floorboard, take a nap, turn sideways, turn upside down, wrestle, do anything you wanted to do. It would be all over the place. I mean, it would be like a circus back there. Your dad might turn all the way around and talk to you forcefully with anger in their voice while they were driving the car down the interstate. Just be totally turned around with one hand still on the wheel and their head totally turned around looking at you. And they probably might have to get hold of you with their right hand so that he could drive the car without distraction. Because how can I drive the car with you and your sister trying to kill each other back here in the back seat and climbing up back there where the window is? I can't see out the back window because you keep climbing up there. And get out of the floorboard. I can't even see what you're doing. And the whole time he's turning around backwards and driving. So that could be distracting. As you think back on the distractions that you or your parents may have faced while driving an automobile down the road in the 70s that didn't have airbags, that didn't have seat belts, that didn't have air conditioning. While you think back on that, try to remember that the next time you get on your high horse about people today and distracted driving and how distracted driving today is worse than it's ever been. It's worse than it's ever been. No, it's not worse than it's ever been. I mean, it really is a total miracle that anybody made it anywhere they were going without having a wreck in the 1970s. It's another nightmare from the 70s.